Exposed, the spine-chilling truth behind my daughter-in-law's 3 haunting wishes for our wedding. Maplewood had a way of making everything look perfect. The lawns gleamed like emeralds, the houses stood tall and proud, adorned with freshly painted shutters and flowerpots bursting with color. Neighbors exchanged warm greetings over picket fences, and community gatherings pulsed with laughter and friendly chatter. But under that glossy veneer, a darkness lurked, waiting for the unsuspecting. Claire had always imagined Jake's wedding would be her crowning glory, an event everyone would remember. But ever since Eliza, his mysterious fiancée, stepped into their lives, a chill had settled in Claire's bones. Whispers trailed Eliza wherever she went, making even the most mundane moments feel charged with unease. The air felt heavier every time Claire caught sight of Eliza's enchanting smile, and it stung her heart with fear. On the night before the rehearsal, a sudden thunderstorm swept through Maplewood, lightning illuminating the grand historic estate where the ceremony would take place. Claire set to work, arranging flowers and adjusting tablecloths, but the atmosphere was thick with foreboding. Even the shadows seemed to dance more eagerly. As she straightened a napkin, she noticed a worn leather book tucked beneath the dust of a forgotten corner. Curiosity piqued, she pulled it out, and upon flipping it open, her breath quickened. The pages told tales of a malevolent spirit, one that cursed couples married under a full moon. The more she read, the more the world around her faded. The clock ticked louder, and thunder crashed as though nature itself was warning her. Eliza's ancestors had dealt with this specter, and now, the spirit sought a new host. A creeping dread gnawed at her insides. Was this why Eliza felt so strangely compelling, yet utterly wrong? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension only escalated as Claire's late-night investigations peeled back layers of desperation, revealing the unsettling truth about Eliza's lineage. She could feel community chatter rising around her like a storm, prickling at her skin, warnings and cautionary tales whispering through the grapevine. The town hall discussions had split the community down the middle, some urging unity against an unknown evil, while others insisted on the freedom to love without fear. Claire wanted desperately to defend her family, but every time she made a move, shadows flickered at the edges of her reality, pulling her back. What was Eliza's second wish? As Claire stood before the altar on the wedding day, her heart hammered in her chest, caught between dread and a fierce protectiveness for her son. Guests arrived under an ominous sky, eyes bright with anticipation, unaware of the malevolence lurking in the darkness. A sense of impending doom filled the air, making it difficult to breathe. Just as she summoned the courage to put forth her truths, a chill swept through the venue, and gasps erupted from the congregation. The ground trembled, and a dark figure materialized before them, a ghostly manifestation of everything they feared. With Eliza at the center, Claire understood the battle was only just beginning. Would their bonds hold strong, or would the encroaching shadows claim their celebration of love? As the spirit's eyes locked onto Eliza, Claire knew the time for choices was running out. The gusts of wind howled through the venue, carrying with them the echoes of the guests' gasps. Claire felt her heart seize as she locked eyes with Eliza, whose once radiant smile had twisted into an unfamiliar expression, an eerie sort of calm overshadowed by lurking dread. "What is happening?" someone shouted from the crowd, fear drenching their voice. The atmosphere thickened, darkness eclipsing the joy of what should have been a celebration. Claire's mind raced. She clung to Jake's arm, shaking him, desperate for him to see what she saw, the shadowy figure hovering, framed in flickers of candlelight. It appeared to be a woman, her face obscured. The unmistakable aura of hurt and resentment seeped into the air, like smoke curling from a fading fire. "Eliza," Claire gasped, panic seizing her fractures of reason. "We have to leave now." Eliza turned, her expression momentarily flickering with confusion before it settled into something darker. It was as if the spirit's presence was wrapping around her, feeding into all those hidden desires Claire had learned of, the wishes that now felt like wicked bargains entwined with the very fabric of this cursed ceremony. "You should stay," Eliza whispered, her voice carrying an otherworldly cadence. Eyes wide, Claire watched Eliza approach the dark figure, almost entranced. The energy pulsing around Eliza pulled at her in ways she could barely comprehend. It was twisted and wrong but seductive. "What are you doing?" Claire cried, her voice raw with desperation. Before Eliza could respond, the spirit lunged forward, its spectral form flickering in and out of focus, plugged into the raw emotion of the moment. Gasps resounded, the guests now stricken with collective horror, immobilized by an unseen force. Claire felt her legs trembling, as if trying to resist the weight of destiny crashing down. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the ceremony into darkness. Sunlight had given way to storm clouds that consumed the horizon. Claire's instincts kicked in. She had to shield Jake from this fate. "We need to get out now," she reiterated, gripping his arm tighter, her voice barely above a whisper, yet fierce with determination. Jake hesitated, drawn to Eliza, but amid the chaos, Claire saw the flicker of fear cross her son's face. It splintered her heart, knowing it would be an uphill battle to reclaim him. "Mom." Jake's voice barely carried, heavy with confusion. His connection to Eliza was undeniable, but Claire felt it too. The sinister bond forged under the weight of ancient lore sparkling with malice. With a sudden surge, Claire propelled Jake towards the altar, her desperation heightening. But it was too late. The figure advanced. "It's time for your wishes to be fulfilled," the spirit crooned, "the reckoning has begun." Claire's breath caught in her throat. She could feel the pull of the visitors faintly screaming, their souls ensnared by enchantments stitched into the tapestries of the estate. What truths had Eliza woven into their wedding? What exactly would her third wish demand? The shadows darkened further as Claire realized the true fear wasn't just what would happen next. It was the truth that lay dormant in Eliza's heart that could either doom or save them all. Just then, strangled whispers jolted through the room, seeping into the very fibers of her soul. Claire's grip tightened as she faced the manifestation, her resolve hardening. "You don't own us," she shouted, discovering a flicker of courage amidst the collapse. But was it too late? In that chilling moment, a flicker of lightning illuminated the room, revealing Eliza now torn between light and darkness, standing directly before Claire, the spirit drawing near. What would she choose? As another blast of thunder echoed ominously, Claire realized she was no longer certain what the wedding had been meant to celebrate, but she had to find out or lose everything. The time for choices was here, but which one would they make? The moment hung thick in the air, charged with tension and an undercurrent of dread that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Claire could see the stricken expressions of the guests, eyes wide, breaths held frozen in a tableau of horror. Every heartbeat echoed in her ears, amplifying her rising panic. "Eliza!" Claire yelled, her voice cracking. "Fight it! Remember who you are." Eliza's eyes glinted, caught somewhere between recognition and allure. The spectral figure hovered closer, its ethereal tendrils inching toward her, as if trying to bind her spirit with invisible chains. "You don't understand," Eliza replied, her tone soft yet chilling. "This is what I've always wanted. This power, it's intoxicating. I don't care." Claire shouted, stepping forward, a fierce protectiveness surging through her. "You are not meant to be a vessel for this darkness." With another flicker of lightning, the room illuminated the face of the dark figure, revealing a semblance of sorrow twisted into its expression. Jagged edges of loss marred its features, yet its presence was undeniably alluring. A collective gasp echoed, filled with disbelief and sheer fear. Jake, helplessly caught in the fray, met his mother's gaze, confusion etched deep in his brow. "Mom, what do I do?" he called out, the panic in his voice cutting through the chaos. "Stay close to me," Claire commanded, though her stomach twisted with uncertainty. One step back felt impossible, yet all her instincts screamed that danger lurked in every corner of the room and within Eliza's newfound potential. "Your wishes can be fulfilled," the spirit whispered again, its voice smooth as silk yet biting. The words curled around Claire, seeping into her psyche, as she wrestled with the question, what had Eliza wished for? A single thought crashed into her consciousness: Eliza's third wish, shrouded in mystery, could be catastrophic. "Look!" Claire gestured wildly toward the shadowed walls, the flickering candles creating a dance of light and darkness. The ancient tapestries that hung there bore witness to generations of sorrow, tales of tragedies and unfulfilled desires that now came crashing headlong into reality. "Those souls," she barely managed to murmur, "they're trapped." The guests began to whisper among themselves, horror pooling in their expressions. Many pulled back, crowded against the walls, shivering in dread. "Don't let it take you," one interjected, and the fear exploded into panicked cries. Amidst the chanting voices, Claire felt Eliza sway, the tug of the spirit stronger than any bond forged by love or family. The air pulsed again, thickening with whispered promises that tore through Claire's heart. "Choose." The figure demanded, its voice now a guttural growl that rumbled through the very stones of the estate, undermining the structure with sheer malevolence. "What do you want, Eliza? What do you desire most?" Eliza trembled, caught between worlds. Claire sensed the struggle, a flicker of regret hidden beneath the allure of dark power. In an impulsive wave of emotion, Claire reached toward her daughter-in-law, Eliza. "Remember family, love. Those are the true wishes worth fighting for." A flash of recognition crossed Eliza's face, pained and desperate. Yet the spirit loomed, hungry for her choices, pushing against the vulnerable seams of her will. Claire's heart raced. How much time did they have left? "Please. This isn't just about you," she implored, her voice rising above the chaos. "Think about Jake. What will he lose if you give in?" Eliza's eyes blazed with conflicting emotions. Claire could see the spirit's grip tightening, forcing Eliza's mouth to twist into a snarl, but still a hint of her warmth lingered beneath the surface. The question echoed across the stone hall as thunder rumbled, spiraling wild emotions until shockwaves rattled the very foundation of their reality. What final wish would Eliza claim? As the spirit clawed for her decision, Claire held her breath. The time for Eliza to choose was racing toward its conclusion. Would her heart withstand the pressure, or would darkness win? Dragging all of them into its abyss, and then, just as the air grew charged to a suffocating climax, Eliza opened her mouth to speak. What words would tumble out? Would they be salvation, or doom? "Mom." Eliza's voice broke through the tension, unleashing a shudder that rattled the air. Everyone leaned closer, straining to hear, hearts pounding in unison. Claire's breath hitched. This was the moment. Would it lift them from despair or bury them deeper in darkness? "Eliza, please," Claire urged, stepping forward, the world narrowing down to her daughter-in-law's wavering form. I want power. I want to break free from all this." The words tore from Eliza's lips, desperation coating each syllable. The spirit surged closer, a ravenous predator scenting victory. Shadows twisted, pulling at the very fabric of the room, feeding off Eliza's turmoil. "No!" Claire shouted. "That's not freedom, it's a trap." The room erupted into chaos. Gasps and cries echoed as the guests stumbled backward, fear propelling them into the corners of the ancient hall, their faces stark with terror. Claire cast frantic glances around the room, searching for anyone to help ground them in this storm of shadows. Jake stared at Eliza, his youthful face drawn tight with panic. "Mom, you don't mean that!" he cried, his voice cracking. "Don't let it win." Clutching her chest, Claire felt the room tilt, emotions spiraling dangerously outward. She reached for hope, desperately trying to pull Eliza back. "Eliza, remember those moments when you felt truly alive, not just powerful. The laughter, the love. Think of Jake." Eliza's eyes flickered, caught in a whirlwind of memories. For a moment, the spirit's grip faltered. The air felt lighter, a frail thread of warmth breaking through the chill of despair. But then the shadows reasserted themselves, swirling around Eliza like a dark storm. No. The figure howled, its voice like thunder, vibrating the very walls around them. She has a choice to make, and power is what awaits her. Reject them, Eliza. Embrace the eternity I offer. Claire clutched Jake's arm, feeling the tremor of his fear. We can't give up. Eliza. She cried, her voice becoming a desperate plea lost in the tumult. Fight for what matters. Eliza wavered, tears pooling at the edges of her eyes, the bright light of who she was flickering like a candle in a tempest. But, it's so tempting, Claire. I've always wanted to be more than just, ordinary. The spirit leaned in, seductive whispers brushing against Eliza's ear. With my power, you can have anything. No more waiting for life to happen, you can command it all. Claire could feel the room contracting, the energy coiling around them like a serpent ready to strike. Time had almost slipped away. No. Claire shouted, determination igniting inside her. The real power is in connection, in love. Don't you see? Eliza's breathing quickened, caught in the throes of decision. Claire stepped closer, reaching out, feeling every heartbeat now resolutely grounded in love. Eliza. Remember your promise to Jake. You were willing to fight for him, for your family. That's where your true strength lies. The spirit gnashed its teeth, its form flickering with rage. Denying your desires, Eliza, is weakness. It howled, the voice cracking like ice, deepening the echo. Suddenly, Eliza gasped, pain churning within her. A colorless tear slid down her cheek. I can't, she whispered, whispering like a breeze through the leaves, a fragile sound breaking through the cacophony. Choose, Eliza. Choose love. Claire implored, each word like a lifeline tossed into tumultuous waters. The dark figure exploded toward Eliza, its tendrils snapping angrily. Claire braced herself, shattered disbelief coursing through her. Would she lose her daughter-in-law to this darkness? The air crackled with energy, a sense of inevitable climax drawing nearer, as the shadows writhed, echoing a tumult of fate. Choose now. The voice boomed, the room shaking. Eliza's hands quivered, an electric pull gripping her heart. That it all came down to this. Would she embrace light or plunge headfirst into shadows? What would be the outcome of her final wish? And as the spirit reached for Eliza in a dark fury, Claire prepared for the unthinkable. Would they be shattered, or could they withstand the coming storm? The silence fell heavy over the room, pulsing with tension. Then, one last word, one last choice flickered on Eliza's lips. What would she say? In that moment, frozen in time, despair loomed, but hope clung desperately in the shadows. Eliza's breath hitched, the words hovering on her lips like a fragile whisper on the brink of shattering. The darkness around her thickened, tendrils of despair slithering against her skin, squeezing until she could hardly think. The room thrummed with the tension of unspoken choices, as if the walls themselves held their breath, waiting. Choose, Claire breathed, her voice a trembling resolve that cut through the chaos. Choose love. For a fleeting heartbeat, the spirit's murky grasp faltered. Eliza's gaze darted to Jake, eyes wide and pleading. The shadows curled back, revealing the warmth of his presence, even as the evil presence loomed over her like a storm cloud. Jake's face was a canvas of fear and hope, a reflection of all they stood to lose, a family teetering on the edge of irrevocable darkness. And then the spirit snarled, its form twisting into something even more monstrous. You need power, Eliza. You need to break the chains that bind you. Think of all they've stolen. You deserve to reclaim what is yours. Every anguished face in the room turned toward Eliza, their expressions a mix of fear and unwavering love. Mom, please, Jake uttered, his voice quaking, barely strong enough to pierce the storm. In that moment, a silence hung over them, a desperate plea mingling with the chaos, the weight of destinies balanced precariously. What do you really want? Claire shouted, gripping Eliza's hands, steadying her. Freedom through power. Or freedom through love. The air hummed, crackling with unresolved energy that danced between them. Shadows writhed, pulling at Eliza's limbs, tugging her toward a future drenched in darkness. The spirit, sensing her hesitation, whispered sweetly. Imagine the life you could forge, Eliza. No limits. All your desires at your command. Claire's heart raced. She could feel it slipping away, desperate to anchor Eliza back to reality. Don't listen. She could barely contain the urgency in her voice, the power of her fear mingling with hope. Every gift comes with its price. You will lose yourself. Eliza's body trembled, caught in an unbearable tangle of desires. She felt torn, a battle raging deep within her. The temptations throbbed like a heartbeat, a life of command, of conquest, seeming just out of reach. But the other half of her heart whispered louder, love, warmth, true connections. Who are you? Eliza, who are you really? Jake's cry pierced through the haze, wrapping around her like a lifeline. You aren't ordinary, you're extraordinary. In our moments together, you are powerful in ways this spirit can't offer. That flicker of authenticity ignited something in her. She felt the spark embers in her chest swell, pushing back against the darkness. Power isn't just about controlling the world, Eliza whispered, shaking her head, a newfound resolve brewing. It's about embracing the love we have. The spirit howled, a sound so profoundly chilling it reverberated through the entire hall, shaking dust from the rafters. Shadows convulsed around them, ready to swallow their light. Foolish girl. You will regret this. But it was too late. In that instant, she took a step back from the abyss, every fiber of her being igniting with purpose. I choose love. The words surged forth with a ferocity that sent a crackling wave of energy throughout the room. Light burst forth from her like the dawn breaking through a long night. The shadows recoiled, shrieking in fury, twisting and writhing like serpents deprived of their prey. Claire released her breath, feeling the oppressive weight lift as a radiant warmth enveloped Eliza, a fierce, defiant glow of hope and love, but the spirit, a dark vortex of anger, twisted around them, seizing the last ounce of desperation to shield its defeat. You cannot escape me. I will return. And just like that, the tension reached a boiling point, the very essence of the space vibrating with unyielding choice. Eliza squinted against the blinding light, the hold of the shadows faltering in that challenging glare. A single thought flickered through her mind: had they truly prevailed, or had they merely bought a momentary respite? As the spirit's fury crackled against the light, her heart raced with trepidation. What happens now? With the darkness retreating, a new question remained suspended in the air, a beckoning, lingering question that sent chills down her spine. What if they hadn't seen the last of it? Would the shadows strike back? The light burned bright, slicing through the darkness. Eliza's heart raced, the adrenaline pulsing through her veins as the spirit's figure writhed in pain. The walls of the room vibrated, and whispers of despair echoed off the surfaces. What now? She thought, the question gnawing at her insides. Stay close to me. Claire shouted, inching towards Eliza, her old resolve cracking under the swell of uncertainty. Fear was pooling in her eyes, a mirror of the chaos that surrounded them. The air thickened, charged with an energy that felt almost alive, pulsing beneath the surface. Jake reached out, desperation etched across his face. Mom, we need to leave. This isn't over. Eliza turned to him, her heart heavy. But the darkness, a roar erupted from the corner of the room, the spirit's ghastly visage regaining form, its anger distorting the air. You think you can banish me so easily? My power is ancient, beyond your understanding. Shadows flickered around the creature, swirling like a tempest, ready to lash out again. She could feel the pull of that darkness, an intoxicating lure that tangled in her thoughts. But somehow she felt stronger in control. Jake, don't lose faith, she urged, but doubts clawed at her heart. The spirit surged forward, its voice a chilling whisper. You think love will save you? Love is not enough. It can break, shatter. Are you prepared for what is to come? The creature twisted its form, revealing more of its grotesque body, its eyes black as night. Hold on to each other. Claire shouted, her voice laced with panic as she reached for Jake's arm. They formed a circle, hands clasped, a fragile bastion of warmth against the malicious tide. Whatever you're planning, Jake cried, it won't work. It won't last. Eliza squeezed his hand tighter, drawing strength from his presence. Love doesn't make us weak. It fortifies us. Her voice was steady, but a shiver ran up her spine. Walls that once seemed sturdy suddenly shuddered, and cracks spiderwebbed across the floor. Dust fell like rain. You can't hide from me. The spirit shrieked, its voice tearing through the air, raking against Eliza's skin. Then the light around Eliza flickered. The shadows clawed back towards her, penetrating her protective glow. Her resolve seemed to sputter under the weight of the spirit's despair. Let them go. Eliza shouted, a surge of energy rushing through her. The light flared again, pushing against the shadows, illuminating the room in a breathtaking brilliance. Why do you fight? The spirit hissed, showing a momentary flicker of doubt. You're weak, bound by love. Just let it go. She could feel the pressure of Jake's hand as he breathed heavily beside her. Mom, he murmured, fear threading through his words. But there was also a hint of disbelief mingled with hope. Another wave of blinding light erupted from Eliza, and for a heartbeat, the shadows hesitated, caught off guard by the unexpected strength. I will reclaim what was stolen. I will not let you take us. She screamed. In that intense moment, she felt empowered, her heart racing, but a creeping trepidation lurked beneath. Could love truly shield them from this impending doom? But the spirit howled, regaining its fury, ready to lash out. Then we shall see who has the real power. The shadows surged forward, grim tendrils aching to clutch Eliza and those she loved. The room was charged, the air sharp as it thickened around them, holding its breath once more. Stay together. Claire yelled, as the shadows bore down on them with a vengeance. And just as Eliza braced for impact, a familiar voice punctured the air, clear and strong, an echo from the past. Eliza, remember your strength. Find it within. The voice mingled with her resolve, igniting a deeper fire within her. Something shifted, a storm brewing, the very essence of love itself swelling dangerously. But the shadows pressed, weaving a net, a thick web of darkness. Would this be their final stand against a force that refused to let go? With everything at stake, Eliza took a breath, ready to unleash her last line of defense. What if love was not enough? What if they had to confront something far worse than they ever imagined? The darkness surged again, ready to strike, and the answer loomed just out of reach. The darkness roared, and shadows lunged like wild animals, each tendril reaching for Eliza's skin. The intensity of the spirit's wrath wrapped around her, tangling her thoughts, threatening to choke out the light she fought to hold. She felt the pulse of fear in her chest, but she couldn't falter now. Together. We can do this. Eliza shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. The air crackled with energy as Claire and Jake squeezed her hands tighter. Their combined warmth felt like an electric current sparking between them. Would this be enough? The spirit twisted, its form changing as it advanced, its eyes flickering with malevolent intent. You think you can defy me? Love is fragile. I can break it. Eliza's heart sank with each word, but she pushed back, grounding herself in the resolute belief that love was their power. No. Love is strength. We won't let you win. As the spirit drew closer, she felt the shadows tugging at her cold, unyielding. They curled and slithered, gnawing at the edges of her light. Fear washed over her like a cold wave, threatening to sweep her away. In that moment, the vivid voices of lost loved ones echoed in her mind, pushing back against despair. Hold on to that memory, she thought, desperately grasping at threads of hope. Remember the warmth, the safety. Suddenly, the room shifted. The light flickered violently, struggling against the shadow's fury. It was a battle of will, and Eliza felt a shattering crack form in her resolve. We can't give in. She yelled, summoning every ounce of strength she had, thrusting her feelings outward. The spirit drew back momentarily as if her conviction had shocked it. Shall we test your love then? It hissed, a chilling anticipation brimming in its voice. I will take from you what you hold most dear. Eliza's breath quickened. You'll never take my family. We stand united. Driven by a force fueled by the bond between them, she raised her free hand, letting the light within her burst forth, bathing the entire room in a demonic glow. The shadows hissed, recoiling at the onslaught. Desperation clashed with determination, the room trembled as if the very fabric of reality had reached its breaking point. Fight! Claire's voice rang out, pushing Eliza to channel her energy into a concentrated beam. Don't let it control you. Their hands remained intertwined, forming an unbroken circle of strength. Just as the light threatened to consume the darkness, the spirit released an ear-splitting shriek, an unearthly sound that rattled the walls. I will take your heaviest heart. I will spare none. The ground quaked beneath them, releasing clouds of dust that danced ominously in the air. Eliza's focus wavered as the spirit's eyes locked onto Jake, an all-consuming hunger reflected in their depths. No! Eliza shouted, launching herself forward, the light intensifying around her as if trying to shield them. Mom, Jake gasped, caught between them. Stay with us. Claire pleaded, terror lurking in her eyes. But the shadows surged, a tidal wave of darkness aimed to engulf everything. Eliza squared her shoulders, setting her jaw. She could feel the essence of every moment shared with her son, every whispered laugh, every triumph. It fused into a blistering flame, pushing the shadows back inch by inch, but just as the spirit began to falter, a new, insidious whisper seeped into the air, wrapping around Eliza's consciousness. You don't understand, do you? What lurks in the corners of your mind is the true horror. You will have to face it alone. Eyes wide, her heart pounding, Eliza's confidence shattered for just a heartbeat. What hidden fears awaited her? Was the threat deeper than any darkness they faced? As the shadows lunged once more, their intent clearer than ever, Eliza's mind raced. What hidden truth would she have to confront to save her family? The answers lurked just beyond the reach of her mind, and soon, she would have to uncover them. The shadows writhed like serpents, pulling taut the fabric of Eliza's heart. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, to protect her family from the suffocating darkness that sought to divide them. But the spirit was relentless, a predator hungry for fear and doubt. Face your truth, Eliza. It taunted, its voice dripping with disdain. Only then will you save your precious family. She staggered, light flickering as her courage wobbled. Who was she really? Fragments of memories began to pulse in her mind, a childhood overshadowed by guilt, the days of laughter twisted into a tableau of disappointments. The weight of past failures anchored her, pulling her deeper into the abyss. Mom, please. Jake's voice tore through her haze, desperate and raw. She whipped her head toward him, the light around her dimming as dread gnawed at her gut. Stop fighting. Claire shouted, her eyes wide with fear. We need you. You can't let it win. The spirit laughed, a twisted, hollow sound that made Eliza's skin crawl. Oh, but it already knows you. You've shrouded yourself in illusions. How can you fight for them if you can't even face yourself? With a feral strike of realization, Eliza squeezed Jake's hand tighter. Don't look away. She urged, pulling strength from their connection. The pulse of love intertwined with her growing sense of awareness. Was it true? Did her own fears truly bind her? Imagine, Eliza, the spirit taunted, swirling its dark tendrils. What do you really fear losing? What if that fear is the very thing you protect? The essence of heartache, humiliation each snarl cut deeper. Eliza had built walls around the echoes of her past, the struggles, the guilt over her choices, the moments she wished she could change. All of it contained within, festering like an open wound. What was her deepest truth? What haunted her when she lay awake at night? A vision blasted through her, shattering the surface. She saw her child's laughter, a ripple of joy stirring within their home, a family united. And yet, that joy was punctured by shadows, the missed opportunities, the frail connections fraying at the seams. Enough! Eliza shouted, channeling the realization into fierce determination. I refuse to be defined by fear. They deserve more than my shadows. Suddenly, the room tremored, her light pulsing stronger. As it crashed forward, the shadows recoiled. No! The spirit shrieked, its eyes burning with rage. You cannot escape the truth. With every ounce of will, she cast the shadows back. The air thickened, the energy swelling around them, the light blasting brighter than before. The shadows howled, desperation clawing at their forms, threatening to swallow Eliza whole. Stay with her. Hold on. Claire screamed, her hands trembling but steady, anchoring the reality they fought for. Jake's face was a mix of terror and faith, an unwavering belief that surged through their linked hands. Your bonds are nothing but chains. The spirit screeched, the sound rattling their very bones. No. Eliza screamed back, the chance to fight for her family crystal clear. These bonds are our power. We are unbreakable. The fabric of the room stuttered as the opposing forces clashed, light against shadow, love against despair. But just as victory felt within reach, the dark whisper licked at her mind once more. The greatest battle is yet to come, and it will tear at your soul. Are you truly ready? Eliza's heart thundered, the hint of terror creeping back in. As the brilliant light began to overwhelm the shadows, a catastrophic realization sparked within her. She had never faced the darkest truth of all the guilt that chased her relentlessly. Just as she felt her grip falter, the ground split beneath them, and everything shifted again. What will it take to uncover the truth buried inside you? The spirit hissed. Eliza's breath seized in her throat. Time itself felt suspended as shadows closed in. What awaited her on the other side of this battle? Would she face her deepest fears, or would they claim her for eternity? The darkness was relentless. And she was just beginning to uncover the depths of her own heart. Eliza felt the ground shatter under her, a molten tide of fear and uncertainty crashing against her resolve. The walls around her warped, the family that stood beside her flickering like distant stars in a stormy night sky. Each shriek from the spirit pushed against her, driving tendrils of darkness deeper into her mind, twisting her thoughts. Look around you. Can you see? The spirit whispered, its voice slithering through the cracks of her sanity. Everything you touch will crumble. All your love nothing but fleeting shadows. No. She shouted, her voice cutting sharp against the thickening air. Love is stronger than your darkness. Claire's grip tightened, her knuckles white. We believe in you, Mom. Don't let it take you. The weight of Claire's faith grounded Eliza, illuminating the cracks of despair. But as the room bucked and swayed, the shadows seemed to multiply, swirling in a dance of malign intelligence. They crept closer, hungry for her fear, urging old memories to resurface, painful moments from her past, her biggest failures looming like shapes in the fog. Remember the promise of your youth? The spirit hissed. The dreams you buried under regret? They are haunting you, just like your family will be, if you fail to confront this. Images flashed, betrayals unspoken, apologies never made, moments where she had chosen safety over honesty. Each one chillingly familiar, but now sharpened into focus, a spotlight illuminating the ghosts of her heart. Why are you still holding on to that self-doubt? It taunted, peering into her soul. It's all you've ever known. You'd rather stay shackled than face the truth. Eliza's breath hitched. The thought sliced deeper, wedging itself among the shadows of self-loathing. But just as she felt herself begin to sink, she summoned the faces of her family. Jake. Claire. You are my light. You are my truth. She cried, lifting her chin defiantly. And I will not lose you. With that, a surge of fierce warmth erupted within her. A blinding light blossomed from her chest, unleashing a wave that knocked back the shadows, forcing them to writhe and slink away, their power faltering in the face of her love, but the spirit roared, its voice laced with fury and desperation. You defy your own nature. The truth will find you. It will tear you apart. Then let it. Eliza screamed, her voice a battle cry echoing across the darkness, sharpening her resolve. I have nothing left to fear. The intensity in the room surged, the air electric with her newfound strength. She propelled forward, stepping into her pain, her memories, each one vibrating with tremors of guilt, her greatest enemy lurking in plain sight. That in an instant, shadows swirled around her, and the room warped again, dragging her deeper into the void. Visions flashed, fragments of her life tearing at the fabric of her heart. Each moment twisted with shame, the fear of inadequacy spiraling around her like chains. Embrace it, Eliza. The spirit shrieked, its voice a siren call. Feel the guilt. Let it consume you. The darkness encroached, but she dug her heels into the crumbling ground. I am more than my guilt. Eliza shouted, tears streaming down her face. I am a mother, a fighter. You don't define me. With every ounce of her will, she grasped the swirling shadows, pulling them closer. Acceptance washed over her, softening the edges of her bitterness. She was not just her failures, she was the love she held, her connections with Jake and Claire that lifted her, unyielding and fierce. As the shadows shimmered in response, they hesitated, dimming under the growing light. But just when hope sparkled like a distant star, the spirit wailed, your journey is far from over. The truth will come and consume you in ways you cannot fathom. Eliza stood firm, shaken but resolute, knowing that the next step in this battle would test her more than ever. The ground beneath her began to crack open again, threatening to swallow her whole, but she would not back down. The darkness lurked, teasing her with doubt. What truth would emerge from the depths of her heart? What would the shadows reveal if she dared to look closer? With her family by her side, she braced for the chaos ahead, ready to face whatever haunted her on the other side of this fight. The darkness pulsed, waiting, a storm brewing just beneath the surface. What terrifying truths lay waiting to be unearthed? Would she finally emerge, unshackled from the chains of her past? Or would she drown in the very shadows she had summoned? The atmosphere shifted. Gasps echoed through the space as Eliza felt the weight of all her choices crash down around her. The darkness pulsed with a sinister energy, mocking her resolve. But something inside her flickered, a stubborn ember refusing to be snuffed out. Enough! Eliza shouted, her voice rising above the cacophony. I will not let fear define me. The shadows recoiled momentarily, their forward descent staggered by her defiance. She focused on Jake and Claire, their bond tethered tight, radiating love and support, giving her strength, but the spirit snarled, slithering closer, its voice a venomous hiss. You think love can hold power over me? It is nothing but a fleeting moment, a mere distraction. No. Eliza shouted back, the energy of her family pushing her flame brighter. Love is everything. It is the reason I fight. Her hands, trembling but firm, summoned warmth that shot through her very being, connecting her to the light within. Suddenly, memories rushed forth, moments of laughter, joy, and the quiet bound of their little family gathered around the table, tales shared as they piled on dishes of food. Each smile they exchanged fueled her a vivid reminder of the bonds they cherished. Every moment of love is a victory against the darkness. She pushed forward, embracing that warmth. Love creates happiness, and it can conquer you. A voice from deep within her shot back, shaking the air with conviction. But the dark spirit surged, its sinister aura creeping back, determined to ravage her newfound strength. Let go of the truth. Let go of what you hold dear. It boomed. Never. Eliza screamed, filling her lungs as she pulled closer to Jake and Claire, their eyes full of fierce faith. I am done running. The spirit shrieked, and in that ear-splitting cry, shadows coiled tighter around her. She felt fear prick against her skin, but that fear was nothing compared to the warmth radiating from those she loved. It was a protective barrier, powerful, vibrant, and unwavering. With everything at stake, she closed her eyes, picturing not just her family but all the moments forged in love. Bursting with resolve, she lifted her chin high, shouting, I choose love. I choose my family. I refuse to be bound by fear. As her words resonated, light erupted from within her, a radiant warmth that illuminated the dark corners of the room. The spirit writhed in agony, its grip faltered as bright waves surged outward. Relentless energy poured forth, pushing the shadows back, revealing flashes of fear torn apart by light. In that moment, Eliza felt the shadows dissipate, banishing the spirit's hold over her. This is my truth, she affirmed, steadying herself as the darkness howled. And it is stronger than anything you can offer. I am not afraid of what lies beneath. Then, primal screams filled the air as the spirit, once a commanding force, uncoiled away from the light's embrace, thrashing before fading into a distant memory, leaving only shadows swirling like smoke. The wedding venue returned to life, the air lightened, the overwhelming tension dissipated. Guests blinked through the haze, disbelief transforming into relief, then joy as they witnessed Eliza standing, resolute. The light basked her in warmth, igniting the panic fading from their faces. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she looked to Jake and Claire, their love cocooning her in a shield of raw strength. We did it! She cried, their hands still linked, now glowing with an unbreakable bond. Jake beamed, his face transformed from panic to pure, bright relief. I knew you could do it, Mom. Love conquers all, my sweet Eliza, Claire said, her voice a mix of pride and joy. You dug deep and fought for your happiness. And in that moment, amid the remnants of chaos, Eliza felt a profound shift within her. It wasn't just the victory over darkness but the unveiling of the truth she had always carried within, a recognition that love, while tormented at times, would always be the true strength necessary to navigate the shadows. They stood together, hand in hand, hearts united in a vision of a brighter path ahead. What lay in the future remained unknown, but together they would face it, fortified by every choice made and now, empowered by the love they held. As the sun peeked through the storm clouds, warming the space with rich golden light, it was a promise of hope, a hope nourished by the very truth they had fought to reclaim. The darkness may have whispered threats, but it had also awakened something unyielding. Eliza was ready to meet life's challenges, her family strong at her side, ready to chase away any shadows that dared whisper doubt ever again. Game over for darkness. Their journey continued, together. Now, if this powerful conclusion resonates with you, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Hit that button immediately. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm, show your support. This is the moment. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories, we want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let's spread hope and love together.